a small country at the end of the world. We have about a tenth of the population of Colombia. We've been watching the development of Colombia over the last decade, and we have very similar economies. There are many things that we share in common culturally, and we think that New Zealand and Colombia would be great education partners. I think the key word is reciprocal. I think we can learn a lot, you can learn a lot, and the whole point of international education these days and internationalisation is that you have a mixing of cultures, you have a mixing of ideas. There'll be many things that Colombia has learned in terms of managing its natural resources that New Zealand can adapt, and many things that New Zealand has learned. And bringing our scientists together and our students together to be able to share those ideas, they spark new ideas, things that we would never have thought of otherwise. I don't think you can ever say it's any one thing. I think we've been very lucky that we've had a long, stable history and a society that has valued education, and so we've been able to build very strong universities over 150 years. We know now that the keys to basically good universities are globalisation. So it's about no country can do it by themselves. Every country needs to collaborate, and every country's cultures, societies and economies are now interdependent, and the more we can help grow those through education, the better. I'm not too sure that I'm in a position where I can sort of give advice in that sort of area. I think Colombia is probably a little bit like New Zealand was some decades ago, needing to develop a lot of international relationships. So the key to things like international rankings, which these days drive so much research and so many partnerships, it's all just simply driven by international relationships. In New Zealand, 50% of our academic staff are recruited from overseas. Most of our research is done internationally, so therefore all the things that drive international rankings, which are international citation rates, international research reputation, it's all about having those international relationships. If you don't have them, you'll never get the kind of the rankings and therefore the research and therefore the kind of education systems that will give Colombian citizens a world-class education. So if I can describe it, say, from a New Zealand perspective, and maybe this will make sense from a Colombian perspective, we know for the 21st century there's no way that our country is going to be able to succeed economically and socially if we're not trading, if we're not able to compete in the international marketplace, and there's no way that our citizens are going to be able to do that unless they have experience of living and working in countries like Colombia, which are the markets of the future. So for us, internationalisation is about thinking, where do we fit in the world? How do our citizens understand how the rest of the world operates? And how do we build relationships so that we are able to study together, to work together, to innovate together, and to trade together?